Hi, it's Double1975, and today I'm bringing you my most ambitious and longest project I've ever done on Elite Dangerous on the Xbox One. However, as we ticked past 2,500 subscribers, and 1,500 of you weren't here at the start, I thought it'd be a good time to do a recap of my entire history in Elite Dangerous, because things have changed a lot over the years, and given the perception of me from a lot of people, I thought I would put something out there to explain my entire journey. Now, this is all evidenced in the videos that I've put out over the years that I've been putting them out. It's been a long road in this game, and I've enjoyed almost all of it. Like 98% of the stuff that I've been involved in, I've really enjoyed. My Elite journey begins, like many of you, with the original game back in the 80s. Now, as like a 9-10-year-old kid, I played this at lunchtimes at school, because I had a hippie-trippy teacher who thought it was educational to let kids play video games. Can love teachers like that. So there was a group of us that argued over the 1-hour lunchtime session, playing this game and really enjoying it. I then got it later for myself, and played the crap out of it. And oddly, even back then, I was always on the least favoured platform. So these days I play on Xbox, which is considered the peasant platform compared to PC. And then I played it on a Spectrum, which is very much the peasant platform compared with BBC. So I'm always happily represented the lesser platform in things. I don't know why that is, but that's just the way it is. And I mean, as you can tell from my age, I'm very much a child of the 80s and early 90s. That period, I was very heavily into playing games, having fun, being silly. I had an Amiga 500 in my teen years. I played a lot of games. However, I completely fell out of gaming for a long time, absolutely ages. As I got older, my video gaming stopped. I got more interested in doing other things, and I basically spent almost a decade having fun, partying, getting drunk. And then you meet the missus, you calm down, you settle down. Now, when I met my missus, I was playing an inordinate amount of online poker, and I'd actually brought a really banging PC with the proceeds from the online poker. But I met my missus, we've been together quite a long time, and my PC finally died on me. And I was like, I don't play much online poker now, because it's rude to sit there just playing games all night. You're back to your missus. And we were in the shop one day, and I was like, I'm thinking of getting an Xbox, because 2 of my friends had one. They were always on at me to come and join them on Call of Duty, and I'd never played a Call of Duty. I didn't know if I'd be any good at it. I did play the original Quake, and I was pretty good at that. So considering it was on the Quake 4 engine, I thought, well, hopefully I'll be okay at that. So I ended up getting an Xbox, and I started playing Call of Duty, and I started just messing around on there. And this YouTube channel was purely and utterly born out of me reporting cheats, modders, hackers, and boosters. That was it. I used to post a short clip of the booster just so I had a link to send to the booster busters and to report on, and I didn't think anything of it. This YouTube channel was purely me watching stuff on YouTube, and then I started making content, and there's still some of those really old clips. I deleted a lot of them way back when. I deleted tons, but I used to have absolutely bucket loads of 2 people sat in a corner on tack insert shooting each other for 6, 7, 8, 9 second clips. And that's all I did with this channel. That's it. And that went like that for a long time. And then one day I noticed that I had, I think it was 6 or 9, I think it was 6 subscribers. So I put out a video that wasn't, was me doing stuff in game. I think it was a double knife kill, which was pretty cool. So I put that out, and I ended up with 9 subscribers. And I was like, okay, so I got the worst capture card ever known in the history of man. There are a couple of videos on my channel from that capture card days. They look appalling. I should really delete them, because if people randomly come across them, and they'll think that's my channel. But that's how it goes. I mean, I didn't want to invest a lot of money in something if you know, because I wasn't sure I would wanted to commit to it. I wasn't sure I was going to do it. So I got this really cheap ass capture card, and then made a few videos, and a small audience started to grow from that. So way later than it should have been, I got a better capture card. It actually got brought for me as a present by my friend Deadweight Don, and I then had the Elgato that's only recently been replaced by the newer Elgato version, but that one was topped out at 720p, and you know, it was perfectly fine for Call of Duty back then, Xbox 360 Call of Duty, and I pounded out the YouTube content. I really did go for it. I was doing a video a day. I've done a video a day for I can't even remember how many years, and I pounded it out, and it never got anywhere, absolutely nowhere. I got to 1,000 subscribers. It took me I don't know, 3 years or something, and I got to 1,000 subscribers from two incidents. So one, I got a couple of videos on the Booster Buster channel, which was then a very active community. Now I think the channel's called something completely different, but the guys who originally founded it sold the channel on, as happens really randomly in YouTube terms. And the second incident was I killed a live streamer on his stream live, and he apparently went nuts. I'm not 100% sure who it was, but I believe it was one of the quickscopers. Me and one of my friends, Oliver, used to love going on games against feed snipers and trick shotters, and decimating them, especially in search and destroy with trick shotters, but quite often with feed snipers in TDM as well. I mean, we had a list of famous YouTubers that would made rage quit because we used to play really fast and aggressive style of Call of Duty, and you know, we were both master ranked players in league play. You know, he was really good. I was not bad I was not bad, especially considering my age and infirmity on Black Ops 2. And I gained a lot of subscribers from making this guy rage quit. And I think it was at the time I was doing my gold camos for my shotguns, and the guy had a fit about people using shotguns. At the time, I'd also hit upon doing hate mail shotgun rampages. There are still a fair few Call of Duty videos on my channel. I deleted a lot of them. I had a kind of tidy up years ago where I deleted a lot of older content and content that was on the bad capture card, because like I said, I didn't want people having this perception that my channel was that amateurish and shite. There are a lot of videos out there on my channel on terrible microphones. The microphone I use now is actually brought for me by one of my wonderful subscribers, a lovely Dutch dude who got fed up of listening to my voice on a horrible microphone and actually donated to make me sound better, which is hilarious. You know, in fact, my entire setup, apart from my laptop, has been at this point provided by friends. The Xbox, I've just upgraded to an Xbox One X, courtesy of Deadweight Don. The monitor, this is Deadweight Don's old monitor, because he replaced it when he got his 4K one. The speakers are Deadweight Don's old speakers. The only thing that isn't is the laptop, which is the only bit of tech in this corner that I'm looking at the moment as I make these videos that I actually paid for myself. So this channel is purely built by the fans of my channel. Now, unlike a lot of people, I was falling out of love with the Call of Duty series. I loved Black Ops 2, but the ones after that just sort of diminished, and I was losing interest in playing Call of Duty, and a game came over the horizon that just took me by surprise. It was Elite Dangerous, and as I've said, I was a fan of the original. I played the original. I loved the original. And the thought of playing that game in a multiplayer environment was just something mind-blowing to me. So I found out, being on Xbox, that it was going to be at least a year before it came over to Xbox, before this game made an appearance. So I spent that year in between devouring every bit of YouTube content, Twitch content, anything I could get my grubby little hands on to learn everything about the game, all the minutiae, how it worked, what stats did what did this, what did that. And I have always had an incredibly addictive personality. I have to be very, very, very careful, because I can get one-dimensional and obsessive very quickly. When I played poker, I had to be very, very careful. I had to have very strict rules because I have this very dangerously addictive personality. I get fixated on things and they become like almost obsessive. So watching all this content, and like I used to watch a lot of videos by the Code. I really loved the videos they were putting out in the early Elite days on Xbox, the roleplay pirates, the fun shenanigans they used to get up to. I watched a lot of content from the guys that are now the Hammers of Slough, but back then they were just a collection of streamers. Now at this point I watched a video by a little known YouTuber called Rowan. I think it's Rowan on Elite Dangerous or Rowan, but if you search Type 7 Rowan, you'll find an old video, a very old video, where Rowan talks about his Type 7 build. And I honestly to this day I do not know what it was. I don't know why, but when I watched that video I decided my goal was to get a Type 7, and I have been fixated on my Type 7 ever since. Now I had no desire to get into combat or killing other players or doing anything like that. My entire obsession with Elite Dangerous, my entire goal was to get to a Type 7 and Space Truck. That was it. I don't know why, because I've always been a shooter kind of guy. I've always like played like aggressive, violent games, and I think I just went, you know, I'm getting older, I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to chill out, Space Truck, you know, just relax, have a game that's fun, interactive, help newbies, just fly about. Now, because of all the research I'd done in watching all these videos, when the game started, I immediately switched out my Sidewinder for a hauler, and I trucked Bio-Waste to Slough, which is in Vespa M4, and my journey began. I felt I had a huge advantage on a lot of players because of all the stuff that I'd done watching and studying for a year, and I immediately like got my way up to a Type 7 very quickly. And I remember I was trading about in a Type 7 in the preview program, and you know, I was very rich already, and a lot of people were really struggling. But while doing missions out of Slough Vespa M4, I found my home, which is Moorcock in Colinas. And if you look on the galaxy map, they're right next to each other, so it's kind of destined to happen. And because of the animal rescue and all the cockerel references, living out of Moorcock seemed perfect. Now at the time I was on the Reddit forums for Elite Dangerous. I was quite active on the Reddit forums back then, and the Reddit forum created its own player group, which became XO, one of the biggest player groups on Xbox. I do love the fact that it's a little known fact that when it started, they had a vote on what the name would be, and the name was voted as XO because Elite Xbox won. Now, a lot of the founding members didn't like this and have kind of over the years sort of pushed that story to the side and said that they were the Exodus Coalition. But I was there, boys. I remember the vote. I was a day one member of XO. Me and Wild Pilot slammed into each other in the mail slot. I did videos about it. You can go back and watch my early XO day videos. And at the time, I brought 2 vultures. One I kept at Moorcock, one I kept at Saunders' Dive. I forgot what the name of the station then. And I used to just Type 7 between the 2 of them, and that was it. I was now BGSing and space trucking for the XO, and much to Brainiator's not so much moaning, but you know, ignoring Brainiator's advice that I should get a nice Python to do my BGS in, I was still doing it in a Type 7 and a Type 6, happy as Larry. I mean, my Type 6 back then, because this before engineering, was slow and paper thin. But I've always been good in this game at escape and evasions. If you're going to fly a Type 6 and a Type 7 in open all the time, trust me, TOC will help you get good at escape and evasion. I had a lot of training, especially in the Vale wars with XO, because I was, you know, just there'd be a massive fight, there'd be players all over the place, and I'd just be steaming along in a Type 9 or a Type 7 or a Type 6, like, oh, there's fights going on. Oh, okay. I'm just going to go back to the station, deliver my cargo, go off and do something else. And that was it. I always played in open. I always ran cargo. And I was kind of known as being this crazy Type 7 pilot. And if I never play this game again, that is how I want to be remembered. As being that guy that was weirdly obsessed with the Type 7 that crazy dude that in his videos you could hear cockles crowing in the background. They were, and probably still are, some of my favourite days in Elite Dangerous. Those early XO days, the first like 4 or 5 months of XO being founded and, you know, pushing out and expanding that little bubble of influence that we had, they were some of my happiest times. I moved so much cargo, I ran so many missions, it was crazy times. At the time, I had a few friends in game. I'd met a guy called AD, who I still speak to occasionally, one of my subscribers. I flew with Deadweight Don, one of my real life best friends. I flew with a guy called Pokey, who we've drifted apart over the last couple of years, but was a guy from the Call of Duty days. We played Black Ops 2 together for years. I don't think he ever really liked this game that much, but he kind of came across and played it with me for a long time before he left the game. Then, you know, there was other people I played with. Salman, who was someone I found crashed into the middle of a space station, wedged in a Viper. He had no microphone, and I helped him along, only to find out later that he was a real squeaker. But yeah, he's a lot older now, and I've helped him out throughout this game. He comes on occasionally. I accidentally took him to Colonia recently because I didn't know he was stowed away on my carrier. But my XO days came to an end about the same time as when the Space Cats schismed away. XO had got very big by this stage, and a few of us founding members didn't really feel like we had a place. I mean, I'd, you know, broken soil in a lot of XO new territory over the years. I'd helped XO expand massively. You know, I did a lot of stuff for XO, but one day I was flying through the home system in a Type 9. There was a war on. There was always kind of fighting with XO. There was always some group they were at war with. And somebody told me off for being an open in a Type 9. And I was like, nah, I'm not ever going into solo just because there's some people fighting. And I'm not getting out of my Type 9. And you know, there was like, oh, you should get a Condor and have more shields. You should do this and you should do that. And I was like, no, I play this game because I love these Lakon ships. At the time, I had an absolutely all Lakon fleet. I mean, I think there's about 5 times in my history in the game where I've just reset back to an all Lakon fleet, sold everything non-Lakon, and just started like again with my only combat ship at then being a Diamondback Scout, because this is before Challenger, Chieftain, etc. days. And they were always like, I always happily did that because I loved the Lakon ships, I loved the bubble cockpits. I'm not much of a combat guy. The only fighting I ever did for XO, I was pretty much a glorified winglock person, and I'd sit like on the edge of the battle in a stealth ship just firing away with you know, my Imperial Hammer railguns either side of my Diamondback Scout. I mean, there's some video footage out there somewhere of me fighting Gino in it. Gino would come into Wolf to attack new players. I engaged him, fought him for 20 minutes while XO sent a Corvette to help. When the Corvette arrived, I was like, phew, I can get out of here, because my ship was in bits. It's still one of my favourite PvP encounters. There's a video on my channel. If you watch, you'll realise over the years I've not done much PvP. Very little. I've sporadically owned FDLs, but I've always got rid of them. And like I say, I keep going back to an all Lakon fleet. And in them days, that meant that the only combat ship I stayed with was the Diamondback Scout. Now, for some reason, me and XO kind of grew apart. I think it was because they were at a certain size. They didn't really feel like they needed me anymore. And while I was happily space trucking, you know, there wasn't really any sort of need for XO of my services. That and the fact a lot of the guys I flew with in XO had already left and schismed off to other groups. So I wandered lonely for a while. I didn't really, you know, have a purpose. I flew out of Kalinas, and I just bimbled around, helped a few newbies, and I kind of had it was a bit of a lull in the game. They just brought out some updates which changed things. Deadweight Don had left the game because of the engineer grind, and he didn't like that. In fact, a lot of the people I played with had ceased playing, and you know, I was helping newbies, trying to encourage people to play the game, but I must admit I needed to take a break, and I kind of did. I played a lot more PUBG during this period. Those people that still watched my Elite Dangerous content, I think noticed the sort of change. I wasn't as positive about the game. I was a little bit nitpicky about a few things, and I just bimbled around on my own for quite a while. And like I say, I lacked a bit of purpose. I think I realised in this period that the squadrons thing, it gives you something to strive for more than yourself. But I did my usual at this point. I stripped my ships back to an all Lacon fleet. I think at the time my most powerful ship could be argued to have been my Asp, and this was before it got as tough as it is now. But certainly my only combat ship was still my Diamondback Scout stealth ship. And then there was a chance encounter at a CG, I think around at Christmas time, 2017 this would have been. Two German dudes kept trying to interdict me at the CG, and I kept waking out because that's what I do, and then loop back around and try and get past them. And they kept interdicting me, and they managed one time to get a message off, which intrigued me, which was like, stop, we're only after cargo. So I did stop. I complied and gave them some cargo. And then I realised there were actual roleplay pirates in Elite Dangerous on the Xbox. Guys like the guys that I'd watched way back when on YouTube, like the Code. And they were like nice, polite, fun roleplay pirates. And that was great. I did a video about it. I was really chuffed to meet that type of person in game. Being a trucker, I had always hoped to have that encounter with pirates. I had become so used to like just waking out immediately. They'd been trying to message me for days, or trying like to pirate me for days, but they just hadn't managed to get the messages off quick enough to me for me to actually notice before I high waked. So I did a video about it. I was very chuffed to meet that type of player in game on Xbox, and their leader was very pleased with the video, and he then proceeded to try and pirate me for a long time, and he eventually caught up with me, and I ended up joining the pirate faction. Now, to a space trucker like me, this felt like winning the lottery. I gotta say, it did feel like winning the lottery, because now not only am I safe from pirates, I'm a member of the pirate gang. So yeah, this is awesome. So I joined the Dark Marauders. I think it was January 2018. I will put a link in the description to the video of me announcing I joined. I think I even said something like, I know it's weird, the quintessential trader joining the pirates. But at the time it felt like a lottery win, because now I was even safer when going to the CG. I mean, there was still TOC and some other griefers that I've tangled with over the years, but that was it. That was the only change. Now was there was a whole group of pirates that left me alone. So perfect lottery win. I carried on BGSing for the Dark Marauders. I never attacked, ganked, griefed, pirated anybody. I'd like to make that clear. In my entire time in Elite up until this point, I hadn't done anything wrong, anything that could be considered criminal activity. But I think word got around, and suddenly I was found a new group attacking me.
Bad cops, bad cops. Bad cops, bad cops. Bad cops, bad cops. Bad cops, bad cops. Springfield cops are on the take, but what do you expect for the money we make?
Now the weird thing is, in the first couple of months I was with DMPS, I used to just 07 like the likes of Edouard and some of the other cops just sat at the CG, and they used to 07 back, and they used to leave me alone. I mean, I was in a Type 7, I was always in a trade ship. At the time I only had one combat ship. I didn't do any PvP piracy or PvP combat, so I didn't feel I had anything to fear. But word got around, there was a guy in open who looked like an easy kill, and suddenly I started getting attacked over and over and over again. Anywhere I went, I got attacked. Every CG I went to, I got attacked. I got jumping by my wings of 4. I got attacked and killed a CG where I was doing, it was a combat CG, and I was doing it in my ass because it was technically my most powerful ship. And I got jumped by a wing of 4 FDLs and killed. When I messaged the guys and said, what was that for? They said, because you're a griefing scumbag. And I was like, oh, what? It makes no sense to me. I haven't ever grieved anyone. I've not done anything wrong. So I was like trying to explain that to them, and they were telling me that, you know, because I ran DMS tags, I was always, you know, I was a bad guy and I was a griefer, and, you know, I would always, you know, once a griefer, always a griefer. And it was like, it literally made no sense to me. And then you know, the inevitable happened. I did start pirating. I mean, I thought, if I'm a griefer, I may as well start pirating. And I'll even link to my first video of me pirating, and you'll see, from when I joined in January, there's a long gap between me and doing my first bit of piracy. I swear it was because certain elements of IED, like easy kills, and once they find out a guy's like 90% of the time in a type 7, they thought easy kill. The hilarious thing is, they very rarely killed me. Even when they jumped my type 7 in a wing, they just, you know, and, you know, after that, you know, they kept on attacking me, but now at least they had reason to, because I was a PvP pirate at this point. I'd done a whole like 2 or 3 piracies. Then there was an incident with one of their guys at a CG where I made a video calling him a griefer, and they got very upset with me. Now, considering my history with IED, I didn't consider them to be anything other than griefers. I mean, I was a space trucker, I'd never committed any single crime or anything in game, and I'm being attacked by guys. They claim to be roleplay policemen, but they never roleplayed anything. They never sent any messages, they never said they were the police. They just attacked and killed me, and calling me a griefer. It's like, well, I'm not a griefer, I've never even attacked anyone. They didn't even explain that because I had DMS tags I was kill on sight until after I made that video. So, you know, as someone who never engages on Discord, Facebook, Reddit anymore, I was like, how am I supposed to know what you do in game? Unless someone tells me. You know. So I made an apology video, which was definitely not an apology video. It was probably the most toxic thing I've ever done on my YouTube channel. But I still think, and I still hold true, that it was funny. And now the IED member in question did then challenge me to a 1v1. So I set about very hastily getting together a combat ship, because I didn't have any. My strongest ship was my ASP, and after the 1v1 combat, which was like the quickest death I've ever had in Elite Dangerous, I think, I joked I would have done better in my ASP. In fact, I probably should have taken it, because the ship I took wasn't that well engineered. So at this point, I've been killed about 4 times by IED, 3 times before I'd ever even committed a crime in the game, and they're telling me they're the good guys. So I decided to actually take part in PvP against them. So I spent some time building a Cobra. It was my only tier 5 engineered ship for a long time, and I built it, and I took it out, and I did do battle with IED on a few occasions. There's a fun video I did called Salt Free PvP with us taking on IED in a massive wing fight. There's a video I did where me and Scooby are trying to fight Paul of War's Corvette in Lupao, because he'd come to attack us over something, I can't remember what, and broken our treaty of entering each other's space. There, you know, there's various videos I put out, and like I say, I built my first ever combat ship and was taking part in PvP. Now you can check on my channel. This isn't that long ago. And up until that point, I'd never owned a specifically PvP combat ship. I'd owned some PvE combat ships. I owned like a Bioweave FDL for a while that I used for res hunting, you know, but I never really owned anything that was like specifically to fight other players. I've never had interest in fighting other players. PvP was not a thing that I got involved in. I still to this day do not like killing people in Elite Dangerous. Because it's mean and I don't like doing it. In other games they just respawn, it doesn't cost them anything. In Elite Dangerous you're costing that person time, and I still feel mean, which is why I ran my pirate compensation scheme, whereas if I killed you during piracy, I would contact you and offer to pay for your rebuy and refund you the cargo, because the last thing I want to do when I pirate someone is kill them. I'm only after their cargo, and if they accidentally die, which does sometimes happen, there might be a collision, or in one case they suicided because they assumed I was a griefer and thought I would kill them anyway. So when I explained afterwards and offered them a refund, they were very grateful. And I will continue and always run that scheme. If I am PvP pirating someone, I am keeping funds on my carrier in terms of paynite and low temperature diamonds to make up for the worst possible accident that I could cause. And I'm happy to do that because, like I say, I've never enjoyed killing other players. I've always thought it was mean. Even now, when I'm attacking IED and their allies in PvP combat in this war that I'm stuck in, I still to a certain extent feel mean about it. Now I know in IED's eyes they did nothing wrong, they attacked me because I had DMS tags, etc. But ultimately, really...
You idiot! You made me!
It was ultimately their constant attacking of me when I hadn't done anything wrong that pushed me towards trying PvP piracy for the first time. And it was their continued constant attacking of me, that made me decide that I had to get better at combat. This is why, for this little short period of time, from getting my Cobra till now, I've been on a PvP kick. And yeah, I spent some time amongst the PvP players, trying to get to know what the PvP community is like, trying to get to know the rules of PvP, because as a space trucker, I've always had completely different rules. I honestly find it funny when PvP guys tell me I can't have crimes on in a trade or ship mission runner, because the first thing I always tell to traders or mission runners is put crimes on. If you're in a ship that's not a combat ship, and I don't care if you're in enemy space or in your own space, wherever you are, I feel you're entitled to run crimes. Now obviously I've been told by the PvP community that they're of the opposite opinion, that they don't feel you should ever be running crimes, etc, etc. But the ones I've spoken to, and the ones that have actually given me answers to my questions, have said most of them don't fly traders in open. Most of them do their money making in solo or private group and only come into open when they're in combat ships. Now, not all of them. I'm not saying all PvPers are like this, but some of the ones I've spoken to are. And as far as PvP guys are concerned, they always have crimes off when they're fighting. Now, I'm happy to run crimes off when I'm in a combat ship and when I'm fighting, but I don't care if you don't like it, I'm always going to have crimes on when I'm in any of my Lakon trade ships. I can't fight off an NPC Anaconda in my Type 7 without police support. And if you think less of me for doing that, that's fine. I did have someone hit me back saying, you tell combat loggers they have a choice, they could be in a more powerful ship, etc. You could be in a more powerful ship. Yeah, I could. It's my choice to be in this ship, and I'll tell you what, when I die in it, I take it like a boss, and I ask the person who killed me for a clip of it. So I don't know how you can equate me as being a combat logger. Now for IED, me being a space trucker I think is something they never considered, so I need to tell them.
Are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
So I've joined the war against IED, and that's it. All I'm doing different in my life is I'm now space trucking in a different area of space. I don't think IED are quite prepared for someone who will happily sit there and truck, day after day for year upon year, because it's what I do in game. It's what I've always enjoyed doing. It's the thing I do. The thing I've always done. Whoever I've flown for or whoever I've flown against, I've been involved in a lot of BGS wars in my time, and I know how to play the game. I know how to move influence around. I know how to raise up some influence, tear down some influence. I'm just going to sit and do what I do, have fun, chill out and relax, because it is, after all, only a game, and I am just enjoying playing that game, doing what I love best, which is flying my Type 7 in hazardous conditions against an enemy that wants me dead. Nothing, actually, there is nothing I enjoy more than that. That was always the thing that made me happy as a trader, was flying in and out of dangerous CGs, being attacked by TOC, because it's fun and it's engaging. And I don't think IED are prepared for an oddball at war. That's all. Thanks for watching.
Hi, man.
What are you doing?
I'm drinking wine and eating cheese and catching some rays,